Hello, I'm Denny Shea Martinez, and thank you for joining me for this Wise in 5 talk on sleep. I'll be sharing some different sleep ideas, considerations, and principles from an Ayurvedic lens. And if you want some more information, a friend of mine, Rachel, and I did a optimal sleep talk through Sacred Earth Retreats, which is available online at sacredearthretreats.com. I'll have some information in the notes about that if you are wanting to listen in a little bit longer and hear from both Rachel and I about optimal sleep. So when given the adequate time and proper environment, sleep provides a tremendous amount of restoration and power and rejuvenation for not just our body, but also our brain. We spend a third of our life doing it, so it's something that we're going to spend a great deal of time. So we should really look to how we're sleeping. And if we're not sleeping well, what can we do to make a better sleep environment so we can get better restful sleep? I personally think that sleep should be as valued as nutrition and exercise, although it's often maybe talked about third in the realm of those three. Sleep will affect how you digest your food and the energy levels you have to exercise. So optimal sleep is really important. And if you aren't sleeping well, you're not alone. There's a lot of people struggling from sleep disturbances. Approximately 40 million Americans suffer from chronic sleep disorders, with an additional 20 to 30 million that have intermittent sleep related problems. So it might be acute and it's not that common, but they're still having some challenges in their sleep, which is going to affect their waking life. So I want to give you a little bit of information on those numbers that were surveyed. So about 50 million Americans, when surveyed, reported that they had problems concentrating during the day. Another 24 million Americans indicated lack of sleep interfered with driving. A little frightening. And then 18 million reported that sleep deficiencies interferes with their job performance. All these are waking activities and activities that we want to be fully present for and be really clear and able to react in an appropriate time. So the sleep nourished brain requirements anywhere from 6 to 10 hours. This might depend on your nature. So Ayurvedically speaking, the Vata type might need a bit more sleep than the Kapha type, and the Pitta type maybe somewhere in between. If you're unfamiliar with those terms, you might just know that you tend to need a bit more sleep than others. I tend to be Vata, so I say I definitely need my beauty rest, and I like a good 9 hours of sleep a night. Other factors could be hereditary factors as well. But the sleep nourished brain is really important because we're going to feel really responsive rather than reactive when we're awake. Our moods will be stable. We'll have increased clarity and creativity. And what else is happening in sleep that's really important is we're getting a lot of memory conversion. So things that we're learning during the day are really processing in our sleep cycles. So we're going to have improved memory functions, perceptions, and our motor reaction and our coordination will be better. So overall, your performance will be, real peak performance. And so if you are somebody that requires, strong body, clear mind, you want to look to optimal sleep. There are numerous things that can keep us up at night, a lot of which we talked about in our optimal sleep talk. So I'm not going to spend too much time about that now. But certain things you want to consider aside from personal things like what's going on, challenging times, what you've eaten, is like your environmental factors can play a huge, huge part in that. So you might take a moment and, think about where you sleep and ask yourself these questions. Does this space feel nourishing for sleep? Is this space chaotic or cluttered? Are there other things in your sleep environment like your exercise equipment or your home office? I know that size and time constraints, we might not have as much free space for these other parts in our home, but you might consider making sure that you can kind of close them off or put them away at the end of the day. So when you do sleep and you look around, there's not much to keep you active and engaged. Some other questions you might ask yourself, it's like doing a little sleep inventory, is how much sleep you're getting and if it's varying on the weekends. Do you fall instantly asleep when your head hits the pillow? Do you take time to fall asleep? Once you fall asleep, do you stay asleep? So we want to start inquiring into, how we sleep, when we're going to sleep, how we wake up, and then also our daily activities, things like after meals or with low doses of alcohol or in sedentary situations where you're, sitting for long periods of time and not very active, do you tend to feel really drowsy and tired? And then a question I really love is, how might you feel with really good dynamic sleep? Like if you got all the sleep that you needed, felt really rested upon waking, didn't get drowsy throughout the day, wasn't dependent on caffeine in the morning, what might that feel like? When we connect with what that might feel like, we might be more apt to look around and see what things we might need to shift and adjust in order to get that, because we recognize and realize, wow, that's what I could be experiencing. That's how I could be feeling during my waking hours if I just got better sleep. So there's a bit more here that we can get into. I have some golden rules about sleep, a lot to do with biorhythms and getting on a sleep routine and really sticking to that no matter what's going on, environmental considerations, diet considerations, a whole lot of things. Some of which are talked about in that optimal sleep talk. Others, it might be a bit more personal and you might find you need one-to-one care for that. So that's something you ever find yourself interested in, I am available to help you come up with a really good sleep ritual and routine. So that way the other 2/3 of your life you can really thrive and feel, really strong and flourish. Now, that's just a little bit on sleep. There is so much more. So do check out that talk, sacredearthretreats.com, or maybe get in touch with me personally and we could do a one-to-one consult and get you sleeping. Until I see you next time, take care.